All right, how's everybody doing tonight? Welcome to Thursday night code and chill with yours truly. Gonna be working on some Descent Horizon tonight. It's been a crazy day today. It's been super hot in New York. Like it's like 90 degrees, probably more. I can't even really tell you in Fahrenheit because I don't know Fahrenheit. I use Celsius. So I think it's 90. At least I heard somebody say it's 90. So it's really hot. It's really hot today. But yeah, today we're gonna be working on probably some level editor stuff. I've been working through a bunch of performance improvements on the game, and I improved the performance quite a bit. I was able to get I want to say like a 40 FPS average increase just by moving some things around. I finished up the like pulsification of the UI to make it more reactive. So that's good. Then I implemented some like text caching because like SDL, the library that I'm using for managing windows and stuff like that, there's a second, like I guess like a sister library you would call it. It's called SDL3 and it's you use it to like create like text textures from a font. And that's what I was using to render all my text, but I was doing it in a really naive way, mostly just because I needed like a prototype working. But basically the way it would work is like every time you needed a bit of text to show on the screen, you would like pass in the font, you would pass in the text that you want, and then it would like rasterize the text onto a surface, and then you would take that surface and you would convert it into an OpenGL texture. And I was just doing that every single frame. Yeah, every single frame for the same piece of text over and over again. And believe it or not, it's costly. So just by doing that, just by caching like frequently used text and like setting like a 30-second TTL on it, got a really big performance improvement from that. But now we're I'm kind of done with my little optimization pass that I've been doing on the game, and I figure it's time to start getting into some of the more like actual meat and potatoes, like the content, you know, for the game. And to do that, I need to get my level editor working properly again, because I have a level editor built out, right? But as I've been making all of these changes to the engine and like updating the APIs for like rendering and all this stuff, I haven't been maintaining the level editor at the same time. I've only been really testing the game, and like, you know, as you could probably guess, that the level editor kind of fell behind and is now not working as it should be. So I have no way of actually modifying my levels right now. So that test level that I have that's built out is kind of what I'm stuck with until I fix it. So that's kind of what we're gonna focus on today. I'll show you what I have so far. The level editor looks like this. This is really bad. These are supposed to be over here. When you click this, it's supposed to open up the actual map file and let you go in and edit the colliders and place down the tiles and stuff like that. But if I click this right now, I just get a seg fault. That's kind of, I'm not gonna lie, kind of expected. So yeah, gotta figure it out. So first thing I want to do, I want to actually focus on getting those options to show up in the correct spot. So we're gonna go into the editor folder, editor directory, take a look at the file picker UI behavior. This is kind of where I've been focusing my efforts past like day or so. Then there's the style sheet here. So basically there's I'm effectively, what I'm doing is the level editor was built out before I had really any UI system, to the point where like I was literally just like passing renderables directly into the render pipeline and saying, hey, draw a square here, and then draw another square on top of it to create the illusion of there being a border, you know. We've come a long way since then, and so a lot of this code is like super out of date. So that being said, I have a file picker scene, right? That's that scene that like that we just saw, where you see like the map files, and so the file picker scene was doing all the work, and I started moving stuff over. So like I created a UI controller for the level editor, and I basically like moved a lot of that stuff into a lot of the UI stuff into the UI controller. And now what's left for the file picker is there's this render window contents function, which again, like if you look here, it like literally was just calculating the X, Y, and width positions and stuff like that, and like just directly rendering stuff, creating some pointer regions and stuff. So yeah, first thing I want to do is I kind of want to go and, I guess, turn this into like the actual UI components that I use, because I should be able to just handle everything by calling root render. Corbin says, hi Alex. Hey Corbin, how's it going, man? It's good to see you again. Welcome back to the stream. How's your week? Anything exciting going on for you, man? Dobry večer, Jakve. I'm good, man. Good evening to you as well. I was just saying a little earlier, it's like super hot here in New York. I've been I was outside for a while today. It's ridiculous. It's very hot. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is we have render window contents here. Basically what I have is I have this mount picker window, right? And then that just creates a new UI element and adds it to the UI root. Effectively what I need to do is into the picker window container, I have to make a bunch of elements and then mount them in there. One for each file, effectively. I have to figure out though, because there's this loop here that I have for file pointer regions. I'm guessing somewhere I'm creating a bunch of file pointer regions, which is just like a clickable section in my engine. Yeah, okay. So when the scene mounts, I call this find matching files function, and you pass in a extension, and then it'll find files that match that extension in the project. And whoa, what the hell is going on? I just got like the most ridiculous lag spike. Like thermal throttling or something. The heat's definitely not helping. Heat's definitely not helping me. Gonna have to keep an eye on that. Yeah, so it looks like when I mount the scene, I find matching files, and then I'll unregister any existing pointer regions. Okay. And then I look for files with that extension, and then I reserve some pointer region space for them. I iterate through the directories. Okay. And then I just get part of it. Okay. So basically what I'm doing is I'm creating a file pointer region for each file that I find, and then I guess I create an on click. Okay. So I think what this needs to change to is this needs to actually change to return a list of those files, and then when I actually go and mount the picker window, I can iterate through that list and create one of these pointer. Well, honestly, it'll just be like a regular UI element, but the regular UI elements can have pointer regions bound to them with just like a regular on click, so shouldn't be too hard. I think I'll do that. Hot here also went out to drop parents' car in the shop, getting tested, might need a new DC to DC converter, busy day at work, can't use Anthropic Fable 5, it retains your data for 30 days, jeez. Major stream lag, yeah, I'm sorry dude, it's like, since it's so hot, I don't know, my PC is getting thermal throttled, but right now it should be better. Hopefully it's better for you guys now as well, because I'm not seeing kernel task eating up any CPU. And it looks clear on my end, so, but let me know if it's still bad. Damn, yeah. Sounds like you had a busy day. DC to DC converter, that's for the car. Okay. So you were using Anthropic a lot, and then now you guys aren't allowed to use it for work anymore. So you just have you switched over to a different LLM entirely, or are they basically saying you're not allowed to use any LLMs at work for the time being? Okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna basically what I need a lot of this. I want to keep all these. Do I even, yeah, I don't need to necessarily reserve these. Is regular file. Why do I do this twice? I go through all the files. Oh, I just go one time I go through just to count them. This is not a good way of doing this. I go through it once just to count them, and then another time to actually populate the thing. I guess this worked for when it was small, when you only have a few. But okay, I can actually Let's see. Open up file picker scene here. And find matching files. I will have this return a vector of, I guess, strings for the file path. Yeah. That should work. So that'll, okay. Now, I don't need to manage the pointer regions myself anymore, now that I'm doing that. And then I can instantiate a new vector here. Matching files. Okay. And then in here, I'm going to have an early return if it's not a regular file, or if the path extension is not equal to extension. Otherwise, what I'll do is matching files, push back, and then that was file.path.string. Okay. And then I will just return matching files. We use Opus 4.8, but Fable 5 is out and way more powerful, and we can't use that one. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, it's I guess it's at least not you're not regressing, right? It sucks that you can't use the newest thing, but it's not, you're not worse off than you started off, right? I guess that's the silver lining there, is what I would say. Okay. Does anybody in chat go to air shows? It's air show season now. There's supposed to be one. We're having one in Jones Beach in Long Island in, I want to say it's like right after 4th of July, like July 5th, I'm pretty sure. And then there's also another air show that we're going to in like 2 weeks up in New Jersey. Should be pretty cool. I always find them super awesome, like dudes in like stunt planes doing a bunch of flips and stuff like that. Like for the past few years, they've had like the F-35, I think F-35C. Pretty sure from, is it I don't know if it's the Navy or the Air Force. It's like a demo team that comes by and then they fly over the beach, and it feels so cool. It's such a good show. If anybody's ever wanted to go to an air show and haven't, I highly recommend it. It's like, it's an awesome experience with your family, you know, just chill and watch some planes do some crazy shit. It's sick. What have you been working on, Corbin? What's new with you aside from the heat and aside from car troubles and not being able to use the latest and greatest from our AI overlords? F-35C is the carrier variant for Navy Blue Angels. No, it's not the Blue Angels. It's like the Navy's F-35. They have a specific demo team that their whole thing is they go and they just fly the F-35s. At least that's how I understand it. But I think the Blue Angels are coming this year. Last year was Thunderbirds. We had, so they alternate. Basically, like we'll have 1 year with Thunderbirds and 1 year with the Blue Angels. So I think this year is supposed to be Blue Angels, which is exciting. They're super good. They are amazing. Have you seen the Blue Angels before, Corbin? Okay. Is regular file. Yeah, and then I'll erase from the file path. Why do I do that? File path. Oh, okay. You know what? I want this as well. I want this. file path. Yeah, so I'll do that. That just trims off part of the file path because they can get pretty long. I only want the relevant parts. Then I can just pass in the file path like that. That's clean. Okay. Then on render. Okay, so I'm gonna leave this section here. I don't need like all of this. I just want to hold on to these parts right here, so that I remember what my on click and my on render did. I don't even think I need that, but just just to be safe. So, and then file picker UI behavior, go in here, and then we can mount the UI behavior. Since the UI behavior is the thing that's actually getting the files, I think I might move that in there. Never seen Blue Angels or any air show. Dude, you gotta go. You gotta go, man. It's an awesome show. Yo, just stopping by to say hi. Have fun. Thanks, Pirate. It's good to see you, man. Thanks for the follow as well. I appreciate that, dude. Hope you have a great great day. Or a great dude, whatever you like. But thanks for stopping by, man. It's good to see you. Okay, so I'm gonna go into file picker UI behavior. I'm gonna add that in here. So find yeah. What did I call that before? Find matching files, yeah. Find matching files. And then take in a string. Make that a const just so we can avoid the copy. Or make a reference so you can avoid the copy. And then extension. Cool. And now what I can do is just grab this whole bad boy right here. Move them over into here. Turn matching files. Boom. And then now it's going to be file picker UI behavior instead. Boom. Okay. I'm missing something. Why are you erroring? Out of line definition does not match. Did I forget to save? File picker UI behavior. Let's see. File picker UI behavior. Done. Am I blind? Game editor, file picker UI behavior, returns a vector of strings, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay, I forgot. I copied this over and this was not a const reference. There we go. Okay. So, let me see. File picker UI behavior. Avron says, hey Avron, how's it going, man? Welcome to the stream. Says, I'm a beginner coder. Is this a series I can find on your channel? I would like to see how you began the game. It's not a series. No, I've been working on the game for like a year on and off. And I haven't really started showing it until like maybe a month or two ago. I think a month ago is really when I posted my first video. But I'm happy to answer any questions, man. Like, I also never made a game before I made this one. This is my first game. I haven't, like, working as a professional programmer, though, for like 10 years, so there's that. But, like, in terms of, like, actual game development, I don't really have any experience there. But that's exciting, dude. Beginner coder, that's awesome. I love seeing people starting to learn how to code. It's super, super rewarding. If you put the time in, man, it'll be one of the best things you've ever done. Okay, so Yeah, I mean, if you see me doing anything you don't understand or you want me to explain a little bit more, just throw a comment in here and I'll try to explain, you know? I'm happy to show my thought process and all that kind of stuff. You guys can pick my brain, because I know a lot of times programming can be like black magic. Okay. Yes. Okay, should return a value. Oh, right, because I am in a function. I want to skip that. Yeah. So instead of a return, I'll just continue there. Um, this is because asset directory was declared in here in the file picker scene, and I'll copy that over in a second. I don't need it right now. Okay. Um, I'm gonna grab these from here. I want to get rid of this function since it's useless now. Throw that in there with knowing that it's gonna. I'm just gonna comment this out so I don't get errors from it. Okay. And this guy can leave. Let's see, 17. There we go. Okay, so far what you're doing is fine. It's awesome that you're communicating your thoughts. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I try to think out loud as I'm doing this. You know, I find that it's good practice too. You know, to just think out loud while you're writing code. It's a little tough. It's different, you know, because a lot of times when you're writing code, you're just in your own head and I feel like I can think faster than I can speak. You know, but this forces me to slow down a little bit and try to communicate. But forgive me if I stumble on my words, because a lot of times it's like I said, I'll think faster than I can speak, and then a lot of times my mouth is trying to catch up to what my brain's doing. Okay, so file picker scene. Let's see, I had defined a asset directory in here. And that doesn't, I don't need that on there anymore. So I'll move that over to the file picker UI behavior. And that can be private. Honestly, I probably don't even need a constant for that, but whatever. File picker scene. Did I remove it off of there? Okay, I took it off of there. Now this thing stopped complaining here, so that's good. And let's see, fine. What was I doing? Okay, I have this returning the matching files now. That's good. Now I need back to the file picker scene because I need a reference. What I was doing is I was rendering a file option for each element, for each file. So what I want to do here then in the mount picker window is I want to go through the list of files that have been found. So what I need to do is on enter, when the file picker UI behavior enters, I need to actually call find matching files. And what's the file type that I use again? What's my extension? What is my extension? File picker scene might have it. Actually, I think where I have that is in the level editor main CPP. Yeah, it's vmap. That gets passed into the file picker scene to initialize it. Okay. I need to basically pass, like, when the file picker scene initializes the UI behavior for the file picker UI behavior, I need some way of passing that data in to the file picker UI behavior. Because this takes in a UI behavior dependencies thing. But this is pretty rigid because it takes in like very specific things. Am I overcomplicating this? Because I feel like what I could do is like the scene could just own the tree, the UI tree, instead of having to have a UI behavior here. I don't know. Because otherwise what I need to do is when I set the active behavior here, I need some way of passing in like what extension we're looking for. What would be nice is if like I could pass in the UI behavior here and then put a comma and then pass in the type of the like props that I pass in. But then I would have to like over generify the way that my UI controller works, I think. And right now it's already pretty templatized. Let me think. File picker scene. I mean, I do have another way of doing this. I could make a... What I have right now is I have this UI model system. So I could create a UI model that contains the files that have been found. Do I even need that? I'm trying to think of a way that I can make this flexible, but also just like relatively straightforward, you know? Find matching files. Yeah. Okay, so the file pick, I don't know. I don't know. Because right now, it takes in dependencies, right? But then the dependencies can only be one of these. Or like it's a struct that contains one of these. I mean, I could have it take in like a wildcard dependency that kind of just takes in an any. Maybe I do that? Because the thing that takes, like the actual UI behavior doesn't care what the dependencies are. The class that inherits from UI behavior cares about what the dependencies are, but the generic UI behavior doesn't care about that. It's just passing that along. So what we could do is we can say, hey, like a UI behavior, it's going to take in an any. We don't care what you're passing in. And then those dependencies will get propagated over and passed into the UI behavior, and then the UI behavior can anycast it into whatever it wants it to be. I think that'll work. I think that'll, for now, because I have other places that I'm passing dependencies in. For now, what I'll do, just like as a transitionary thing, is I'll add an any on here, right? On this struct. Can I even do that? I guess we'll find out. Can I put an any on a struct? Well, we'll see. For now, what I want to do is I want to put an any on the struct, and I can say like extra params, right? Call it that. And then basically, what I'll do is when I initialize the file picker UI behavior, I can just say extra params equals, and then this will pass in the file extension that was passed in. In this case, it's going to be extension, right? And then over here, when we get the dependencies, we can do a cast, right? And we'll say extension, and then that'll do any cast. And then it'll be dependencies dot extra params, and let me any cast that to a string. I guess it'll let me do it. Okay. Oops, I can't spell extension. All right. Now we can actually get rid of that because what I'll do is I'll actually just store the extension on here. Since the file picker UI behavior, like when a file picker opens up, it's going to be for that one file type that was like asked for in the UI. So we'll just boom, then we actually set extension there. That's good. Cool. Now on enter, all this has to do is set the active behavior and pass through the extension, and then here we can actually do find matching files, passing in extension, and then should I do this in mount picker window, or should I do it on enter? The actual find. I guess it doesn't really matter too much, but since this is more specific to the picker window, what I'll do is I'll do it in here. I'll find the matching files, and that way I don't have to actually store it on the class. I just store it temporarily. Honestly, I don't even need to store it like that. What I can do is do a const reference for the file in there, matching file. And then boom. Yeah. I think that'll work. And then I think what I can do is I'll take the picker window container and I will add like children to that picker window container, and each child will have a reference to the sibling that came right before it, and it'll be like a chain basically. Like the first sibling will just work off of the X position of or the Y position of the first child will always work off of the parent top, and the Y position of the second child is going to be based off of the first child. And so then if any of the children positions changes, it'll cascade for the rest of them, because the whole UI is all reactive now. So that should be pretty good. That should be pretty neat. Okay, so what I'll do is, I think what I need to do is first. Maybe I'll find a better way of doing this, but like only the first file or the first like entry in the tree, in the list, I guess is how I would say it. Only the first entry actually needs to be based off of the parent, off the container. All the rest of them can be based off of its sibling. So basically, at like is first, it's gonna be set to false right after the first iteration, and then picker window container, we can just do add child, and then we'll pass in the styles picker window file option, and then it'll have an on click. Where's my on left click? That's what it should be actually. Yeah, on left click. We'll do on file selected, file path. We don't have, yeah, well, this will take in matching file. We don't have an on file selected because on file selected was passed in the parent, in the scene. And then what that means then is the UI behavior needs to take in not only the extension, but it also needs to take in the callback lambda. Yeah. So instead of this being a string, I can have this be a struct. with 2 fields on it or something. I can do it as a pair, I guess, but then if this ever grows, yeah. I'm gonna do it as a struct, and then that'll be a little more flexible. It's cool hearing you figure out your code just now. I have to check if it works, but I'm sure it will. It might work. It might work. We'll see. That's the nice thing is it's black magic, and so you can think through everything, and then something that you didn't think of will break. But it's part of the process, you know? You just, like, development is literally like you're just going from one error to the next, and just having a hard head, like a head that's hard enough to just keep bashing it on bugs until you're done and don't have any more bugs to bash your head on, you know? Okay. So here we got file picker UI behavior. Yeah. So, okay, I'll create this file picker. I guess I'll call it file picker meta for now. It's just like metadata that's going to get passed in. And that's what I'll pass in as the option to the file picker. Namespace is game editor, and then struct file picker meta. Boom. We'll take in, it'll be the extension, right? Extension. And then what did that callback look like? I need to see in the file picker scene. That takes in, there you go. On file selected, there you go. Boom. Copy that over. We're good there. And then what we'll do here, extra params is going to be extension and on file selected. And then we need to tell it that this is going to be a file picker meta. Boom. Actually import that. Cool. And then now in the file picker UI behavior CPP in here. No, it's the same file. File picker UI behavior CPP. Here we'll take I'll actually set this to a temporary here. File picker meta reference meta. And then anycast that to a meta. Okay. I'll just pull it out then. Okay. The reason I pulled it out is because I want to have them as separate things. So meta.extension, and then on file select meta.on file selected. Yeah. No, I don't actually have an on file selected on here anywhere. So file picker UI behavior HPP. Basically just this. Boom. On file selected. We're good. Okay. So once that file is selected, we have something to do with it. We're successfully transferring that stuff over. Matching file. Okay, it's still complaining here because we don't have an actual style for picker window file option. So what we can do is go into the editor style sheet, declare class picker window file option. Yeah. And then in the actual style sheet, we'll just do style picker window file option. Okay. I'm not going to specify the X position here. because the x is going to be based off of its parent. So actually what I want to do here is I want to not just take the bear class, I want to create like a new, it's not really an instance of the class, I'm basically copying it by doing this, but I want to create a copy of this base class for every individual UI element. So like, I just moved this recently. I hope I remember where it is. It's like Singularity. Is it style declaration? Yeah, style declaration from base. From base. And then that takes in like the base class that we're starting from. And then it also takes in like the modifications that we want to make. So then this is where I'll actually do like the .x and the .y. But for now, this will be fine as is. What are you complaining about? No matching member call for add child. Oh, it's because this function also takes in it also takes in the class as a second thing, but I need to give it an ID. Like this would be the ID, but because I'm using the same class for multiple elements, I need to give it some unique way of identifying it. Only like I technically don't even really have to do this. Like they could use all the same ID. The only thing that's really ever used for is if I want to get a specific element, I would need a unique ID. Otherwise, it would just return the first one that matches. But I think I'll just stick with passing the same one for now. I don't think I'm gonna need to address an individual one anywhere. EJN says Envim for the win. Hell yeah, dude. Envim is the best, man. It's so refreshing. I'm like big on not having stuff in my editor that I don't need. Like, don't get me wrong, VS Code is a great place to start for most people. But like, it's very bloated in my opinion. You end up having so much stuff that you don't need. Or like, you know, what's the other big one? Like IntelliJ and all those. Like, I don't know, to each their own, but I like to just have only what I'm using. And then it's so customizable too. Maybe to a fault, maybe a little too customizable in some ways. But it's nice. Welcome to the stream, by the way. It's good to see you, man. Okay, so each of these elements is gonna have the full width of its parent. So I can go ahead and say percent 100, and then height. Let me see what I had for the height for the other ones before. File picker, it was in the scene. I had the width here. What did I had my height as 20? I guess I must have. Region height. Oh, okay, file pointer region height. That's what I used. 40. Okay, so I'll set it to 40 pixels. Boom. These need to be commas. Okay. Now I have the width and the height. What were the other? It had a color for each option. Text color was, looks like it defaulted to secondary, but then it could, on hover, it would highlight. So what I'll do is add a color property here, have that take in a lambda, and basically the lambda also takes in a reference to the element, or a reference of, sorry, takes in a pointer to the element. And so then what I could do is say if L is hovered, then I want the color to be game theme manager get current theme dot highlight. Otherwise, we'll just return game theme manager dot text secondary. Boom. So that's the color handled. Coordinate space is screen. It's like default coordinate space for the UI stuff is screen, so that's good. Z index is 9,999, so we'll copy that over. Then this also had a background color. It looks like that always defaulted to the background color for the theme. So turn theme manager, get current theme dot background, boom. This needs to come, oh no, actually this goes before color. That's why I was complaining. And I think background color comes before, yeah, okay. Cool, filled true, that's good. Font size 16, so we'll do font family. I think I use departure mono for everything, so fonts departure mono regular dot TTF. Is it TTF? I just want to double check it. It's been a little while. Let me see. Assets, fonts, departure mono regular. Oh, this window's not wide enough. Is there a better way for me to see this? Shift K. No. Okay. Well, I think it's CTF actually. We'll leave it at, if anything, I'll just change it to OTF later. I'm pretty sure it's TTF. Okay. Font size, we said it's 16. Okay. Font size, that comes after. Okay, so we have the file name. We have, actually we don't have the file name in. That'll be somewhere else. Z index is there, the font is there. Yeah. Okay, and then looks like I had a padding of 4 pixels. So I'll add that as well. Padding 4. Boom. Should be good. Now here's the tricky part is, not that tricky, but tricky enough. The X position stuff. I believe that file picker UI behavior is where we were. Yeah. Okay. So now each child is gonna start from the styles that we just defined in that picker window file option class, and it's also gonna take in. We'll pass in a custom X resolver for each one. So we'll do Singularity, unit, and then this will be a calculated for each one. That passes in a reference to the UI element, or a pointer to the UI element. And actually the X position, I don't even need to define an X because they're all gonna, X is gonna be 0 for all of them, honestly. The only thing that I actually have to change is the Y position of each of them. So what I need to do is, depending on whether the whether this is first or not, I need to resolve it a little bit differently. So I'm gonna capture is first in here, and then I'll say if is first. So if this is the first element in the that I've added to the tree, right, in the list, I'll just, what I can do is return, basically what I want to do is I want to put this element on the top of the parent. So L get parent, dot get height minus this element's height. Then boom, the first element will always be at the top of the parent. Otherwise, if this is not the first element, I want to get the element that came before it. You know what? This is where I actually will need the I was gonna try to have them all be the same class. But if I want to have this effectively be a chain, I need to give them each a unique ID. So instead of having this be is first and then have a separate like iterator, I can just do int let's just say I, right? And then if I can capture I in here, and then if I is 0, so meaning same thing, this is the first element. Otherwise what I'll do is L get sibling. First of all, what I need to do is check. This should always work, but I'll check if the element has a sibling called styles picker window file option. And then each one I'll add like an underscore and then the I. Picker window file option. Let me get the ID, which should be a string. To string. And then you know what? Let me take this and move this into its own variable. So sibling ID. Paste that in. I seem frustrated. What? Why does iTerm thinks I'm frustrated? Thinks I'm tilted. Do you guys think I seem frustrated? Okay. Okay, so we'll check if it has sibling ID, right? And if it does, well, okay, if it doesn't, what do we do? Because I prefer just doing early returns. So if it doesn't have the sibling, oops, we need to return something. Honestly, I'll return 0 for now. I don't think that this should ever happen. Like by the time the Y resolves for this element, the previous child would have, or the previous sibling would have already been added. So it should never not exist. But we need to return something. Coding can be frustrating trying to figure out bugs, but you don't sound frustrated. Yeah. No, dude, it can be really frustrating. I totally agree with you there. The other day I spent 2 days figuring out why my performance improvements didn't actually improve performance, and the changes that I made to improve performance actually made the performance worse significantly. And I was like, what is going on? I spent 2 days tracking this down, and turns out I accidentally in my hot path for my render pipeline, I accidentally started referencing this element that was it's like a complex data type where it caches its value internally, or it might recalculate its value when you try to get it. And in my render pipeline, I was accidentally referencing it. So potentially thousands of times per frame, I was calling this function that had multiple dereferenced gets, and that tanked performance. And then once I changed that to be a primitive again, it worked. I didn't even change it to be non-primitive on purpose. It was one of those things where as you're rewriting stuff, sometimes you go into autopilot, and then you realize later oh, I just did something really stupid, you know? Okay, so if the element has a sibling, if not L has sibling. So if it doesn't have the sibling, we'll return 0. In this case, if it does have sibling, we'll get the sibling by sibling ID, and then return. Sorry, we'll get the sibling, and then we'll get it's... Do I want to get its Y position? The reason I'm thinking here is because bottom, right? This would be the bottom of the sibling. I think this might be an absolute space. Like screen space, which is not necessarily what I would want. Let's leave it. I think this actually might be in space relative to the parent. But we'll see. Okay, so the bottom minus L get height, and that's where this Y position will be. I think that'll work. And I don't need is first is false or any of that crap. What I do need though is plus plus I, and then honestly what I could do, yeah, okay, styles plus underscore. Ooh, this would have been a bug. This is gonna get itself. This needs to be I minus 1. And then here, it just needs to be I. Plus I. Yeah, there we go. Hello. Does bro read YouTube chat? I do. I try to at least. Yeah, he does. There you go. He dies. He dies. I die. No, yeah, I try to read chat. How's it going, by the way, Breno? Hopefully you're having a good day, man. It's good to see you. Okay. So we have this element has an ID of the picker window file option followed by its index, and then this one, as long as it's not the first one, we'll try to get the one before it. Sibling ID. Yeah, I think this is what we want. And then it actually goes and it adds the child. Good. Is there anything I'm missing from here? I don't think so. Render file option. I think this is good. I can probably comment out render window contents. Boom. Woo, the stream is popping off with more viewers. Yeah, it's exciting. It's really awesome to see like a bunch of people in here. Like, I feel like I'm giving a little lecture, like a little college lecture, or something. It's nice to hang out with all you guys. Nice. Can you tell me when you get compile errors? Can you just click them and it takes you to the line? At the moment, I have to go to the line myself, but I don't have any plugins in my NVim yet. Honestly, I don't think I have that set up. I'll let you know. Like, we'll see if I have any compile errors, but basically, I have I'm using NeoVim and Tmux in my terminal, and basically, the bottom portion of my screen, like this section right here, is not NeoVim. Only this section up here is NeoVim. Down here, this is just a regular terminal. So when I have an error, I can't really click into it to go to that matching location in NeoVim. But that being said, I kind of use my keyboard for everything anyway, and that's kind of why I like to use NeoVim. So I've never really felt the need to actually set up that like ability to click to go to the error, to be honest. Okay, so I don't know why I commented this out. I can just remove this. Okay. So I'm gonna build the editor. I'm sure I'll have a bunch of errors. We'll see. Oi. Did you just start setting up NeoVim recently, Breno? Or have you been using it for a while and you just haven't bothered putting in any plugins? 'Cause I like myself, I'm pretty light on plugins. I think I have like I'm using I think I started using NeoVim using LazyVim. It's like a boot like a little bootstrapping thing for NeoVim. Um and then I added maybe like 2 or 3 plugins on top of what it came with, so I don't really have a lot. But that being said, I also really like keeping my workflow very minimal, you know? Okay, so it actually built. It built. C. Dottie says, what's up? It's nice to meet you. What is your pipeline, if you don't mind me asking? Hey, C. Dottie, welcome to the stream. It depends what you mean by pipeline. Yeah, can you clarify? Like, are you asking like what render pipeline am I using, or like how do I go about building content for the game, or yeah, not exactly sure exactly what you're asking there. Okay. This doesn't look right. We don't have any options here, but it didn't crash, so that's nice. Okay. Why didn't anything render? So we have Y position in here. I'm curious. Is it not finding any? No, there's no way it's not finding matching files. I'm gonna see out here. I want to see if maybe I'm just not finding any matching files. Which, like I said, I doubt, but it's good to test your assumptions, right? Is the game for CLI? Hey Baron. No, it's like a fully it's a window-based game. There is a terminal inside the game, so you get to interact with the CLI basically as you play. I can here. I'll just I'll play the game for you guys for a little bit. Been doing a lot of coding. Let's see what it looks like. So this is the actual game. It starts off with just a little splash screen, you know, pretty standard here. But it looks like the CLI. I can see why you would ask. But this is fully rendered in like an OpenGL window. I tried to keep it like a very like terminal style aesthetic for the menus and stuff like that. And then once you launch the game, then you're like in the game, you know, and you're flying the lander and all that. But in the game, I actually built a fully functional terminal. So like basically all of the commands are their own like C++ function. And so like anytime I want to add a command to the terminal, all I have to do is write one C++ function that takes in some parameters that get piped in from the shell and stuff like that. So like I can do like scan auto D, right? And then this will scan. That's how I use my LiDAR. I gotta dodge the debris, and I'm not doing that. But the LiDAR, I would probably have used it higher up than where I am now. And that kind of shows you the terrain below you. You can change the direction of the LiDAR to like literally any angle you want. So I can specify 220, and then it starts scanning at 220 degrees, you know. That's a little lateral RCS dump thing. And then the LiDAR scanner will also show you like nearby hazards and stuff like that. Let me exit that. And then like, okay, like for example, like there's a help command, right? Let me just try to not die here. Got to control your landing gear and all that stuff. Okay. Yeah, so there's like, let's say I wanted to learn more about a specific command. I could do like help, I don't know, help log, right? And then it says, okay, well, like the log command, it's used to access mission logs. So then I could do log list, and then that gives me a list of all the logs that I have. And logs are kind of like narrative elements in the game. You can like find new log files in the like random terminals that you come across in the game, and then it'll give you like a little story snippet. So like for example, if I wanted to view log 11, I could do log view 11, and then boom, now I'm reading this log entry where the main, like the protagonist of the game is like, oh, I couldn't sleep again, and blah blah blah, whatever. And then I can do log close, boom, right? Um, and then you can also use like the op check command to check the status of your landing gear and stuff. So I had a decent landing here. I didn't damage my legs or anything like that, but my hull integrity is at 73%. That's because I got hit before, so that makes sense. But yeah, that's that system. Let me know if you guys have any like specific questions about the game. I'm happy to show more. Yeah, how do you go about building content for the game and keeping the structure simple? Keeping the structure simple. So I gotta admit, it's something that I still haven't really gotten a very good system for. So I have what I'm working on right now on stream is the level editor for the game, and basically it's the way that the game works. I think is a little bit unique for like the kind of problems that or rather like the types of problems that I have to solve for this game are a little bit unique compared to what I think other games have to go through. But like for example, the map in my game, right? It's about 2 miles wide on average and about a mile tall, right? And all of it needs to make sense from both like the piloting perspective and the perspective of like the astronaut on the surface, right? So that I'm building a custom level editor to be able to solve that kind of problem. So I can, in my custom level editor, I can actually place down all the colliders and stuff like that. I can draw the collision boxes for the terrain. I can place down the tiles and all that stuff. But yeah, that's kind of like I said, I still haven't gotten like a very good handle on like the actual content creation. I'm really good with creating systems and then merging those systems together and making them dependent on each other, I think at least, to make them feel good. But in terms of like level design, that's still something that I have to dip my toes into, you know? Yeah. Wow, it matches your overlay. Haha, it's nice. Yeah, I specifically built the overlay for the stream to match the game. I figured it'd be cool to have it like in theme, in universe, you know? But that being said, the game will actually feature collectible terminal themes. So like, for example, you can go and like, let's say you find a terminal out in the world somewhere, right? That terminal might not be using the same color scheme as the default color scheme for the game. So what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to download that terminal theme from that, or the color scheme from that terminal onto like a data cartridge in the game. And then you would connect that to your lander, and then now boom, you have a new terminal theme unlocked in the game. And you can switch your terminal theme to look however you want, you know, based off of the ones that you've discovered. And there might be some that are more rare, you know, that are tied to Easter eggs or something like that. But that's why, like in the game, in the code now, like in a lot of places, like if I show my style sheet here, where I just was, where was that? Editor style sheet. Style sheet. You'll see here everywhere that I'm doing any color stuff, I'm getting current theme, and then like this will just automatically change everything in the entire game to whatever theme you have selected. Like the borders around the windows and stuff like that are gonna stay the same because it's supposed to be like you are sitting in the cockpit piloting the lander, and the actual lander, I mean, if you look behind me, I'm in the actual lander. It's kind of like this bluish gray color. So the actual panels have like this bluish gray outline, but then the screens themselves, like the terminal, that's like fully like customizable in colors. Yeah, this game is amazing, to be honest. Oh, thanks so much, Corbin. It means a lot to hear that, man. Breno says, I've used Vim a lot, but I switched to Windows. I watched someone with decades of experience use Emacs on Windows, and they could just compile and jump to errors inside Emacs on Windows. Yeah, I used to use Emacs. It's pretty sick. I would say like there used to be like whole wars fought over Emacs versus Vim. And as someone who's been on both sides of it, I can say confidently that they're both really good, and just pick whatever feels more natural to you, you know? But I'm not sure I want to use Emacs as I have a lot of Vim muscle memory, so I use VS Code with Vim motions, but I'd like to switch to WebStorm and NVim. Yeah, honestly, I would stick with NeoVim then. Like if you already have that, I don't know if you're gonna gain a lot by switching to Emacs, unless it's like you just specifically want to for the personal preference of it. But like the whole point of using something like NeoVim or Emacs is for the speed and the customizability, and they're both pretty similar in that. So if you already have the muscle memory in one, I would just stick to it, to be honest. Corbin says, show them EVA. I should show you guys the EVA. I'll do that in a sec. Let me finish catching up with chat, and I'll show you guys the EVA as well. Dottie says, wow, that's really cool. I like the condition formula you set for it. I'm new to coding. Started Java 2 years ago, and now I'm learning Python. I'm curious about C++. I have to learn soon. Yeah, C++ is pretty sick. I've also only been doing C++, I want to say, for like 2 years. And I like it. I didn't think I was going to like it. Like, I come from a JavaScript background. Like, my first language ever was Ruby. That was, like, the love of my life. Amazing language. And then I transitioned into doing, like, JavaScript and React and that kind of thing. And I really like JavaScript too, and a lot of people shit on it. JavaScript can be done horribly, and most people do write JavaScript horribly, so like a lot of the shit that it gets, I totally get. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I feel like that's more indicative of the kind of person who ends up writing JavaScript code than the actual language, because you can use, it's like, oh, I can't use a buzzsaw because I cut off my arm, and it's like, have you tried not cutting off your arm with it? You know, just like, use it in a way that you don't hurt yourself, you know. But yeah, that's exciting though. It's exciting. You can do a lot of stuff with C++, and Alex is very skilled. But IMO, put your energy into learning Rust. Thanks, Corbin. It's nice to hear that. Rust is cool. I played with Rust, and I think maybe I like it, but I also don't like it. Like, hear me out. I think the concepts are really good. Like it's a well executed language, and once you figure out the whole borrow checker thing, it's not bad. I don't like how Rust looks. Like visually, it pisses me off. It looks ugly to me. And so for me, it makes it hard to want to write Rust code. Maybe it's just the way I write Rust code. Everybody go on my GitHub and look at my most recent project. It's the only Rust project I've done. It's called Substrate. It's like an AI memory layer thing, whatever. Look at my Rust code and shit on it if it's terrible. I want to know. No effort is wasted though. I'll have to check it out. I know what you mean. Yeah. No, Rust, I like learning new languages just off the principle of like it'll make you think differently, you know? So anytime you spend learning, like Corbin said, it's not an effort wasted. But yeah, my favorite language of all time is Elixir. It's an amazing language. I wish it had more use cases. Like I wish I could use Elixir for more things. It's just such a beautiful language and such a beautiful concept. I love functional programming in general, but fortunately, it's not fast enough for a lot of things. Gaming Noodle says, is this NeoVim? Yes, it is. I'm using NeoVim and Tmux, so this portion up here is NeoVim. This portion down here is my terminal. Actually down here, this is also another NeoVim instance. And I basically just used Tmux. You see like here when I can like, you see when those numbers pop up on the screen? That's basically, if I press 1, it switches me to that window. If I press 2, it switches me down here, you know? So that way I don't have to use my mouse at all. It's pretty nice. I just literally can switch between my like all the tabs on my screen, literally just using my keyboard. And I can just rest my hands on my keyboard and not have to move my hands, and I get to be a lazy fuck. And it's really nice. Okay. What was I doing? We have... Oh, right. I was trying to figure out why that list wasn't showing. So, oh, actually, what I was going to do is I was going to show you guys the EVA. Corbin recommended that I do that, and I think it's a great idea. I want you guys to see what the EVA looks like. Right now, it's very rudimentary, but there is an EVA system. So, like, after you land, right, we're going to scan. We'll find a good spot to land. We'll land over here. This is where I like to land. That's where any and all content in the game right now is. Dodge those. After you land, basically, like, if you were to break off a leg or whatever, you could hop off and collect scrap and stuff like that to repair. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh, man. Wow. That was very bad spawn. I need to adjust that. That thing looked like it spawned right on me. Let's try that again. That was really bad. Yeah, certain modules, when it's huge, it'll just like obliterate you because it's so heavy. The amount of damage you take is based off of like how heavy the thing is that's hitting you, how fast it's moving and all that. But like when you have a whole station module hitting your tiny little lander, it's pretty hard not to die. You know what I mean? Anyway, if I break off my leg or whatever, I can collect scrap from the surface and I can repair, or I can craft a new leg. But a lot of like the exploration and like the story stuff is going to be done in EVA mode. So you hop out, you have a inventory. This is the lander's inventory. If you put stuff in the lander's inventory, it shifts the balance of the lander. So like if I put a bunch of stuff on the left side of the lander and I try to fly, the lander itself will start like veering to the left as I apply thrust. So where you put stuff in the cargo hold matters. And also like the weight of the stuff in the cargo hold affects the weight of the lander overall, which affects how much thrust you need to take off and all that. And then like, yeah, if I want to craft something like a landing leg, like by default, I already have a landing leg blueprint. So I know, okay, I just need 1 alloy for the foot pad, 2 alloy for the structural frame. I need actuators for the deployment system, and I need a control harness for the circuitry, right? So I don't have any of that stuff. But what I could do is like, okay, you guys just saw that thing impact, right? And then it left this scrap here. So what I can do is I can inspect this scrap pile. Look at that. I got some alloy, I got some sealant here, and I got some circuitry, right? So that's not enough. What I could do is I can hop back into the lander. Oh, seg fault. I knew that seg fault's been there, and I have to fix it. Basically, sometimes when I hop into the lander, after hopping out, it'll seg fault. You know, growing pains of changing a bunch of engine code. We'll try that again. I'm going to actually give myself a cheat so I don't have to worry about dying. Do not go gentle. For any of you Interstellar fans out there, you know all about that. This is actually really cool. Where will it be released when it's completed? I'm planning on having this available on Windows, Mac, and Linux. So any operating system. It's going to be a PC game. You need a keyboard to play because, you know, you have this terminal and stuff that is pretty crucial to the actual gameplay. But it'll be on Steam. Actually, there's a Steam page right now. It's up. It's very early, but if you wanna take a look, anybody who wants to wishlist, it's up there. I'm just gonna type in !Steam, and yeah. And then, how often do you stream? I'd love to watch more often. Also, do you have an open repo for people who want to learn and contribute? So the game itself is not open source. So it's all, you know, it's nothing open or available yet. What I'm going to do is when the game releases, I want to open source the engine that I made for the game. So like I have the engine already like completely separate from the code, like the game files. And I'll release that as a project and I'll open source it, and anybody who cares about like that kind of thing can totally check it out. And maybe I'll like, you know, build like a little mini Pong, or maybe like a lunar lander clone, like the original lunar lander from Atari, and put that in there as like an example project or something. But yeah, I stream every week on Thursday nights. I might add another stream on Tuesdays depending on how I feel, if I'm not too tired and too lazy. But I've been enjoying streaming a lot, so I might add another day. But yeah, so every week Thursdays at 10 Eastern. It's been, I think I've been doing this. This is like my 5th or 6th stream or something like that. So yeah, hope to see you around, man. Cool, thank you. Yeah. Yeah. You're welcome. Okay. Do you have any like tips or recommended online tools for learning this type of game dev? I've only tried out 3D Unity with C#. I wish I could say I had more tips. Honestly, I've just been like, this has been just sheer determination. The tip that I can give you is don't make your own game engine. This game, the only reason it exists is because I wanted to build a game engine and I needed an excuse to have a game to build the game engine. So what I did was like, I was like, all right, I'm going to build a game engine and I'm going to build a clone of Atari's Lunar Lander to have something to play with as I'm building the engine, right? So something to test the engine with. And then I built out enough of the engine, and then I finished making the clone of Lunar Lander, and I was like, man, this is so fun. Like, I'm actually like really enjoying flying this thing around. And I was like, let me just turn this into an actual game, you know? But then by that point, I already had this engine, and the engine for me it's like a labor of love. I really enjoy working on it, and it's really fun to like learn more and like make mistakes and do really stupid things that impact your performance and then learn from them and whatever. It's an awesome learning experience. Don't get me wrong. Like if you want to learn, go for it. But if you want to make a game, do not make an engine. I'll say that. Because this game, I could have had a lot more of the actual game done if I was not building the engine as well. Like I can confidently say that like at least 6 or 7 months of my total development time so far in the game has been dedicated to engine related stuff and not stuff that's related to the game. Thankfully the engine's in a state right now where it's actually pretty stable, so it's been tapering off the amount of engine level work that I have to do, but it was a huge upfront commitment. But yeah, for 2D, I know a lot of people are doing Godot. Like that's probably like the industry standard right now is like either Godot or Unity 2D. I know Unity is a little more heavy, and Godot, from what I've heard, is more beginner friendly. So I would check that out. A lot of indie games I've seen on like TikTok and like Instagram and stuff have been using Godot. So, I mean, I haven't really been here long, but this is actually really impressive. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm glad it's impressive. A lot of times, you like. I don't know. For me, I spend so much time working on the game that I can't even tell if it's like fun or interesting anymore, you know? Because like I fly this lander like for hours a day, you know, as I'm testing and like fixing stuff around. So you kind of get like a little numb to your own thing, but it's really awesome to see that people are vibing with it, you know? Okay, so I'm gonna give myself an alloy. These are just cheats that I have in the game for testing, but I don't know, maybe I'll leave them in for when people actually, like when I release the game, because it's a single player game, you know? If you want to cheat, do you, right? I'm not here to control how you have fun. Whoa, that's another bug. Oh god. That's a pretty ugly one. Basically, sometimes when you hop out of the lander, it will teleport your camera like really far away. I have a bug logged for it, and like they're so intermittent, like these bugs, especially lately. I haven't had them, but of course when I stream, that's when they happen, and I can't show you guys something cool that I wanted to show you. Let's try this again. Do not go gentle. Yeah, all of these obviously I'm gonna fix before there's any kind of demo or anything like that out, but it's been like I've been trying to focus on the things that feel the most impactful first. And like those bugs are annoying, but for me, it's like if the game crashes and I just have to land again, it is what it is, you know? It's just a little annoying when that happens on stream. Okay, I'm gonna give myself alloy, give myself sealant, I'll hop out. Cool, okay, everything's good. So now, you'll notice I don't have a blueprint for anything but the landing leg. But what I can do is, the way that I imagine it is like in the world, you would find these blueprints around, maybe in key locations, and maybe you would find a blueprint for an item that you need to progress or something like that somewhere in the map. But right now I just have this one here as like a test blueprint. So I can pick it up, and then now I'll have the improvised patch kit here, and it can actually, it shows me, okay, hey, like you have both parts that you need to build it. In this case, I just need the one alloy for the perforated hex panel, and then one sealant for the adhesive cartridge. So then what I can do is I would walk up to this fabricator, and there might be like 1 or 2, maybe 3 fabricators per map, and these maps are like 2 miles wide, right? 2 miles wide, 1 mile tall. So you really have to plan out where you're landing. And sometimes you'll spend like an entire loop just going through and crafting and stuff like that, and that's okay. But yeah, then I can interact with the fabricator, and I can say, hey, let me see what things I can fabricate, right? And I need to add like a little animation here. The astronaut should turn around and make it look like he's typing on the terminal right now. I don't have that in place right now. But then, okay, I can make either a improvised patch kit or a landing leg. I know I don't have the stuff to make a landing leg, so I'm not gonna try to craft it right now. But I can say fab select 0, and then it's gonna ask me how many I want to make. I can only make one. I'm gonna choose one, and then boom. Now what I'll do is I'll take the alloy, I'll put it in. I'll take the sealant, I'll put it in. Boom, and then I can say fab begin, and then it'll start fabricating. You'll see like this little fabricator is running. It's kind of like a reverse 3D printer where it like fires a laser into like this liquid, and that liquid hardens from the laser firing onto it, and then it does like your little 3D print. During this time, eventually when the game actually is, you know, fully done, you'll be playing like little mini games, and the like maybe you'll be doing like a laser alignment, or maybe you'll be like trying to keep like certain gauges within a certain parameters, right? Or what have you, right? And then how well you do on that minigame will determine the output quality of the item. But for now, I don't have that in place. Right now, it's just you start fabricating, you wait, and then after you finish fabricating, it'll give you your item. And then we have like a little bit of flavor here. You know, it's got a little, hey, this is the thing that you just crafted. This is the blueprint version. We fabricated one of them. The mass is 2.25 kilogram plus or minus 0.3 kilogram, you know. That's it. And then basically we just take this, and then boom, now we have that in our inventory. And this is an improvised patch kit. So like basically you would use this to return to get back like 0 to 5% of hull strength. Basically it's like, the way I imagine it is like, hey, you ripped a hole in your hull and you can put this hexagonal panel somewhere onto the hull to like reinforce it, right? You would just basically click onto here. I don't think I have any hull damage, so I can't even really use it yet. But if I did, that would be it. And then I can show you this. So like I put that in there, and you can see that just ever so slightly the lander kind of skewed a little bit. So that shows you, hey, like that this is going to impact your flight, right? But then if I move this closer to the center of mass, like you see there, boom, no impact. If I move it here, it's got a 2.9 unit impact, but it's not as much as this 8.3 all the way over here. And then if I put this even higher, it has an even more of an impact. It's skewed harder because it's further from the center of gravity, right? But yeah, that's what I've got for EVA for now. I have to add more buildings and stuff like that. The next thing that I'm going to work on after I have more of the nice like sprites and stuff in place for the world, you know, I want to add some background stuff and stuff like that. The next thing I want to work on is the service deck for the lander, which is like when you break off a landing leg after you create a new one at the fabricator, you need to actually be able to pick up the lander, right? Like hoist it with like a chain or something, you know, a crane, to be able to attach the landing leg. Because your astronaut, you know, the moon has 1/6 of Earth's gravity, but your astronaut is not lifting up something that weighs like 10,000 pounds, even on the moon, right? 1/6 of that is what, like it's still gonna be like like 2,500 pounds, something like that. So you're not doing that, right? So you go to a special station for that, and that'll be where you do like your upgrades and stuff like that as you find them. But yeah, that's the EVA portion. Let me catch up on some chat now. Sorry, bunch of questions. I'm really intrigued. Is your setup full Linux or WSL VM of sorts? Oh no, dude, keep the questions coming. I'm happy to answer them. I love, you know, that's what I'm here for. I'm here, like, look, I would be here in silence, typing away, writing code, if I wasn't on stream, right? The reason I'm here is I want to chat with you guys. I want to hang out. So I'm happy to answer questions. I'm actually not using Linux at all. This is Mac OS X. I'm using a M1 Mac, MacBook Pro. But yeah, I really like doing everything through terminal and mouse and keyboard. I used to use Linux though. It's been years since I have. Okay, let me go and build the editor. And then I want to see if those files are being found. I'm assuming that the files are being found, and just something else about like maybe my Y positioning is wrong, and that's why the file list wasn't showing, but we shall see. So editor built. We'll go ahead and run it. Okay, so it finds 2 files. That's good. I wonder why I'm not seeing them then. Or maybe it is, maybe they are there and I just am doing something else weird. Sorry, I just realized you guys couldn't see it. It's finding them because I was seeing the output. I have 2 screens and I can see that it said found file while I was looking at the editor screen. What did you use to make your sprites and animations? I use Aseprite. Aseprite's really good. It takes, like, for me, I'm not an artist, you know, so it took me a really long time to get that astronaut, like, walking and jumping and all that. And, like, the astronaut doesn't even have all of this, like, animations yet. Like, if you take a look here, like, where is it? I have, like, directional fall animations, directional land, directional walk, and directional jump still in, like, my to-do list. So I only have, like, a small subset of animations that I need done. But Aseprite, I think it's paid. I think it's like $20 or something like that. You can buy it through Steam. But for like pixel art, it's 100% worth it. Like I also use GIMP for other things, like for promotional artwork and stuff like that. Like when I post on TikTok or Instagram or whatever on my story and say, hey, I'm going to stream, like that I use GIMP for like the image editing. But for the game, all of the art was done through Aseprite. And it's like specifically made for pixel art, you know, so it's really good. And there's like even stuff that you can do, like you can set it up. There's like a feature in there where you can draw like seamless textures really easily, so that they can tile nicely. So I recommend it. Okay. Picker window file option. Maybe is it just picker editor style sheet? Okay. So, background color. Maybe what I'll do is I will, in between each child, I'm going to also add, let's say, 20 pixels of padding or 20 pixels of margin. Because I want to see, I'm guessing I'm mounting them, and I'm thinking maybe it's just that the text is not showing correctly. Or maybe it's like the wrong color. Maybe. Or maybe not. Maybe it's something to do with the z-index. I guess I'll have to see. Let's see. Oh, okay. So there's something way up here. Then there's one here. You know what might be more useful is if I make this background color red for now. Just so that it's very obvious where the boxes are being added. Yeah, I think I'll do that. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, so there's one way up there, and there's one here. No text, interestingly. Why would that be? I get the parent. Oh, because, okay. I know why. I get the parent's height. I think I want to get the parent's inner height. Let's try that. I think that's what I want. Because the entire... Because the inner height should just be the... like, minus padding, which I guess shouldn't really matter. I guess let's see. Yeah, that didn't really make any difference at all. Okay. The element height is 40 pixels. Okay. Oh, I know why there's no text. Wow, I'm kind of dumb. I didn't give it any text. Duh. So I gave it the font size and all that stuff, and I just did not give it the text for it. This is going to be matching file. A static text. Okay. Build. It's kind of weird though that one of them is like way out of the box. I wonder if it's the first one or the second one. Oh, seg fault. Couldn't open. No such departure mono. Okay, so apparently I don't have a font. Oh. Okay, I have this step in my compilation process where it copies over my resources into the build. And I'm wondering if it didn't get copied over. So let's see. Build. I have a special stream like build directory that I do just for streaming, since I have like compiler flags set so that it doesn't use as much memory and stuff. It's like a special config for the stream. Actually, it's not. Was it using level editor? Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. So inside the level editor app, contents, Mac. No. Resources, assets, fonts. Oh, wow, look at that. It's actually OTF. Yeah. Remember, I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure it's a TTF. Okay. All right, so there you go. It's a OTF font file. I should probably not have that seg fault. I should probably just have it default to the engine default, and then throw like a warning like, hey, I couldn't find the file. Okay, cool. So now this is, we can see that the hover works. The thing is here. For some reason, this one's like way up there. What I'm gonna do, I'm curious if it's the first one or if it's the second one that's all the way up there. So I'm gonna throw I in there as part of the text, and then we'll see which one is being rendered in which spot. Because it's entirely possible that it's not fine. Oh, you know what it could be? No, I was gonna say it's not finding the sibling, and then I think what's happening is the first one is rendering in the correct spot. So index 0 is rendering in the correct spot at the top of the parent. And then I think the second one that's supposed to be rendering below the first one is, I think it's probably finding the sibling, but then it's trying to get bottom. But then bottom, like this is returning in absolute screen pixels instead of in like, instead of relative to the parent. And so that's like way off because yeah, I think that's what it is. Let's see. Yeah, see, that's vmap 0. So then this one has to be 1. I think, yeah, let me see. So basically what I would have to do is from this, I would subtract L, get parent, bottom, I think. So effectively what I'm saying is, like, to get the bottom of the sibling, I need to subtract the parent's bottom. To get the relative bottom of the sibling, I need to subtract the parent's bottom minus the sibling's bottom. Because the parent's bottom and the sibling's bottom gets, like, combined when the rendering happens. Because everything at the end of the day has to be in screen space. So I think I can change this from being red again. Now I know what the problem was. Don't need it to be red anymore. That was an interesting little bug. Hey, okay, cool. So now these are showing up correctly. So this one's at the top of the parent, this one's at the bottom of the parent, and then obviously there's some weirdness with the border. This one came up after this one, and then we have some space here. What I think I want to do, I'm going to add a border bottom to each of these, and I'm going to inset them a little bit so that the parent's border doesn't fuck shit up. Meaning, when I calculate the width, I'm actually going to change this so that instead of it being a percentage, I'm going to do singularity unit calculated. And then this will take in a const reference to the, or a const pointer to the element. And then what I can do is get the parent width. Yeah, get the parent width, and then you know what's interesting though? On the, oh, okay. I thought I added padding on the parent. What I did was I added padding on the child. Yeah, well, I think I needed padding in the child anyway. But yeah, so I'm gonna get the parent width, right? And then I'm gonna subtract from that. I'm gonna get the parent's border thickness. I think eventually what I want to do is make the border thickness of the parent affect like what the inner space is available, kind of closer to how like CSS does their thing in the browser. Because right now effectively what I have is like an inset border, which is fine. It just means that like whenever I want to put something inside, I have to like account for the border manually, which is a little bit annoying. Okay, get styles from the parent, and then border thickness, and then times 2, right? Because it's on both sides. Yeah, I think that'll give me exactly what I want. But then since I'm doing that, I do have to specify an X. And that'll be also calculated based off of the parent. So calculated. Since like now I adjusted the width to be like a few pixels less wide. But just because it's a few pixels less wide doesn't mean I'm actually margining it off from the left. So I still got to do that. Okay. And then literally all I have to do here is get the parent, get styles dot border thickness. Yeah. So I'm gonna offset it by whatever the parent border thickness is. That should be good. Okay. And then the other thing I wanted to do, I wanted to add a border bottom for each of these. So let's say I do border bottom thickness. I'll do 1 pixel, and then border color here. Return game theme manager. I don't know. Should I just make it? I guess I'll make it the same as the parent for now. I can change it later. It's not that important. What is this complaining about? Border bottom thickness will be initialized after border color. Okay, so I'll just swap the order. Boom. No problem. And then I don't want this -20. That was just I was just doing that to test. Yeah. Try to build that. And let's see. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, not bad. I need to offset a little bit off the top here. You see like that border's getting cut off there, but these are both visible now. Oh, I actually need to remove this number here. And then these aren't centered inside of their boxes. So what I can do, I have a property for this. Text align vertical, and then that'll be Singularity, style properties, text align, was it align? Vertical alignment, center. And then that'll make the text vertically aligned inside of its container. And then here, when I do that Y offset for the parent, I'll also take into consideration the parent's border. Let me, since this is going to be now multiple lines, honestly, minus element, get parent, get styles, border thickness. There you go. Okay, that should be good. Make sure I save this as well. And build. Alright. There we go. Look at that. That actually looks semi-decent. Simple, right? We don't really need a lot. It's an internal level editor. But I forgot to remove the index from there. We'll do that after. We could have these highlight the background color too. It doesn't really matter. And now if I click that, I still have a seg fault. I haven't fixed that. Actually, we'll need to go and look into what that seg fault is all about. It's probably going to be like the next thing I do. Okay. Where was I? There you go. Adding that index there that I don't want. Okay. Now, let me go clean up, because I know that in my file picker seed, I left a bunch of crap that I don't need. Like, all of these are leftovers from before. I don't need any of these. File picker scene. It doesn't need to store on itself the extension. Right? Let me just file picker scene CPP. I want to see what it's got going on here. So on enter, immediately I pass in the extension and file selected. Yeah. Okay. Because it gets initialized, and then after it finishes, okay, it's fine. We'll store it. It is what it is. It's two minor things. It'd be nicer if we didn't need to store it, but whatever. We can remove some of these. Render window does not need to happen. Render window contents doesn't need to happen. And you look at this, just removing. Jesus, look at all that. Look at all that stuff we removed. Okay. Boom. Okay. Then I don't need an on. Did I remove the on exit? File picker scene. No, I have the. Oh, it's because. Okay. I don't need the on exit either, because before. Do I need the on exit? I don't think I do. But let me just double check. In my main menu scene, I want to see how I'm handling this. Like that. Okay. Do I have an on exit in here? Yeah, but not for UI controller clear active behavior. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I guess I can do that. Just to clean things up for the next scene, I guess. Yeah. Okay. Wow, I just put a function in a function. I don't need that, I don't need that, but I can do this. Boom. And then I don't need to clean up the things anymore. The pointer regions, I can get rid of all of this. Boom. Look at how much simpler my scene is now. couple of function calls. Okay. And then file picker, UI behavior. I just want to make sure it's all still good. Do I need asset dir? Like, where am I even using this? I'm using it in 2 spots. 1 spot to remove. Yeah. I'm fine with leaving that there for now. Mount picker window, find matching files. Okay. That's good. That's all. That all makes sense to me. Okay. I think this is a good place to commit some stuff so I don't lose my progress here. What did we do? We cleaned up. I cannot type. Clean up, file, picker, scene. The later it gets, the worse I get at typing. Jesus Christ. Okay. Cool. File picker's all good. All right. Now, after the file picker does its thing, let me see, file picker. How did I start this whole thing? So I start main.cpp, and then scene stack manager starts the file picker scene. Oh, I'm missing something. The file picker also takes in a file picker title. Yeah. Here, what I can do, file picker meta, like this is basically all the same stuff that the file picker scene takes in. So I'll have it take in a title in the struct here, and then what I'll do for the file picker scene is I'll just have the constructor take in the meta. File picker meta. Yeah. And then what I'll do is here I have to change. Yeah. Oops. Change these lines here. File picker meta. And then I'll just store the meta. Yeah. Simplified my constructor there. Because all I'm really doing is passing that down to the UI behavior. And then here, I'll just pass in meta. And here, file picker meta. And then I delete those. Boom. Easy peasy. Yeah. Okay. But what that means is here, I actually need to pass in a file picker meta to actually initialize the file picker scene. Hell Commander 245. Hey, how's it going, man? Welcome to the stream. Says, what do you use for your build system? I just use CMake. Nothing special. I just have a CMake list file. I have a because I have so many different like build types and profiles, what I've done is I have this, whoa, kitty. The cats don't respect personal space at all. This is my cat Totoro. Her tail is what you're seeing. She loves hopping up on my desk and chilling here with me. So what I've done basically is I have a bunch of different ways that I compile, right, or like that I build. So I have a build script. It's just a shell script, and basically what I can do is I can pass in like arguments that alter how the build runs. Kitty, yeah, you want to see Kitty? Yeah, I'll try to show her for you guys. Totoro, look, she hates being picked up, but that's Kitty. Yeah, so I have this, you can pass in arguments. So like I can say like build sh with the argument stream, and then let's say, like if I just say, let's say stream, right? Then it builds using the stream profile, which just uses a few less of my cores so that I don't like thermal throttle myself while I'm streaming. Or like if I don't pass anything in, it'll just use my normal release profile. Or I can say, hey, I just want to build the stream, use the stream build, but I want to move the assets, which is like all my textures and stuff like that. I want to move that into the build, because by default it won't copy over the assets, just to save a little bit of time, because it's most of the time I'm not adding assets to the game. You know, every once in a while you add some textures or whatever, but like not every time. So it doesn't make sense to try to sync those over every single time. So I have like individual, like I have it broken down by that basically. And then just depending on what the command is, it just runs a different cmake build call. But then I don't want to have to type out /build stream blah 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 over and over and over again every time I want to build. So what I've done is I have in my bash rc, I set up this extension file. Basically, if this extension file exists, it'll source it, right? And then if I find that extension file that's dh extensions, it's literally just like Descent Horizon extensions. It's specific to the game, because I work on the project so much that like it's worth just having shortcuts for. And then I have like bash functions defined for all the different types of builds that I would want to do. So like, for example, when you see me in my terminal and I'm doing SBE, it's literally mapping to this function here. And then it's like, all right, are you in the Descent Horizon directory? If you're not, it's going to complain. But if you are, then it'll actually just run /scripts build.sh and then pass in the arguments stream editor. So it'll use the stream profile to build the editor binary, you know? Or if I just do SB, then it'll just use the stream profile to build by default, it'll build the actual game binary, you know? And yeah, that's it. That's how I set up my build stuff. I try to not overcomplicate it as much as I can, you know? Okay, so here we'll do, this was supposed to be a file picker meta. I don't think I actually have to specify that. I think it can work off of type inference here. Pretty sure. If it complains, I'll fully qualify it, but look at this. No respect to personal space. But that's okay. She's a cat. She can do whatever she wants. Okay, so it does want me to fully qualify it, so then I'll just do file picker meta. Yeah. Okay. That's it. So now that gets piped all the way through. And then what that means is in the file picker, when I mount the picker window, I should also be mounting that title somewhere, and I'm not doing that at all. Let me actually title meta.title. Okay. And then I need to go into the file picker UI behavior, the HPP, and just actually store that. Cool. And then down here, I want to add that into the picker window container. So I'll do picker window container, again, add child. And then style, we're gonna call this picker window title. Text is gonna be the title. Jeez. And then the ID is gonna be picker window title. Hi, Tortellini. Oh, she wants some pets. Look at that. Cutie. Little cutie. Cutie. Okay. And it's complaining because that doesn't actually exist. Totoro's. Totoro, you want to be on the stream? She's very affectionate when she wants to be. All the other time, though, she's just trying to do her own thing. I'm sorry, baby. I'll hang out with you a little later, okay? Okay, let's go. We'll need to go to the style sheet. So that's editor style sheet. Actually, I need to define it first. Editor style sheet HPP. Picker window title. Cool. It's declared. And then here, now I can just go and actually make the style. So what I need is basically this. I need to basically do what I did here for this Y position. And then that's what the Y position is going to be for the picker window title. Because it's going to be effectively like the first thing that was there, right? So Singularity, unit, calculated, take this in a function, UI element, pointer, and then just return that. Yeah. Now I'll have to change this because now this one, the first one here, should get the other sibling, which is going to be the Totoro. Can I have some space, please? Oh, cutie. She really wants some attention. Come here. Come here. You want a little hug? You want a little hug? Yeah. Oh, her claw is stuck in my mouse pad. Careful. Here, okay. Here, you're gonna hang out down here for a little bit, okay, buddy? Okay. All right. Okay. So yeah, now this needs to basically do something similar to here. It needs to check if it has the sibling. It will, but it's always good to check first. And then, oh, she's back. Oh my god. It's gonna try to find the picker window title. If it doesn't, we'll return 0. Otherwise, we want to get the sibling. And then effectively do this. Honestly, this becomes basically like, it's the same code, right? It becomes the same code. And this is where we can kind of simplify code a little bit. So up here and down here, it's basically the same thing. The only real difference is, hey, what ID are we using, right? So we can actually simplify that by doing this. I will declare the sibling ID, right? Um, we can start it off with that sensible default of using the other, like the ID of the one that, of the element that would be above it. But then if it's the special case where I is 0, we'll do sibling ID is instead styles. Honestly, I don't even have to do that. Like, this can be a ternary. I don't know why I'm... So if I is 0, if I is 0, then we'll do sibling ID will be styles picker window title. Otherwise, it'll be that thing. And then same thing, it'll check if it has the sibling. And if it does, yeah. I think that's good. Now the X position of the title is going to need to also offset, just like how the file option did. I have some cat hair in my mouth. Oh, whoops, I copied over the wrong thing. Copy these over. Okay. Yeah. That way it's just offset by the border thickness. Not that I think it will really even need it, to be honest, because we're not going to even necessarily give this a background color. And then we'll do... It needs a width, right? We'll give it 100%. Yeah, I'll give it 100% width. I won't give it a background color, so it won't matter that it'll overflow onto the border, right? But we won't have a background color for this element, so since it's transparent, you'll see the border just fine, and that'll just simplify this a little bit. It's like a super minor, tiny performance optimization. Really doesn't matter, but also makes my code a little simpler. So, okay. So same thing. I'm gonna give font size. Give it a font size of 20. And then font family, same font family. Departure, mono, regular. Boom. And then I do need to give it a color. What color do I want it to be? Maybe like the green color from the theme. Get current theme dot. I think it's success is what it was. So okay, what do I have all the properties that I want? Oh, and then I also want it to align the text both vertically and horizontally to the center. So there's center, and then horizontal. Yeah, okay. I think, why is this complaining? Style, oh, yeah, styles, that is what I meant. Okay. Build the editor. Let's see how we did. Should look decent. Unless I fucked up. I don't think I didn't give it a height, actually. Looks like I have some compile errors. That's fine. I don't think I needed to give it a height. Because... yeah, I don't think I need to give it a height. Unless I want to give it like some dramatic spacing, which I don't think I need to. But I do think I want to give it like a border, though. So I'll copy these two. Do that, and then let's see, what is this error? What don't you like? No magic constructor for file picker scene. Okay. Did I forget to save maybe? Because this takes in a file picker meta reference. Oops. Does this also? Yeah, it takes in a file picker meta reference. Okay. Let me read some more. Requires yeah, okay. I think I just forgot to. I think I might have forgotten to save my main, maybe. Yeah. That's probably what it was. Let's see. Oh, I guess not. It's no magic constructor for initialization of file picker scene. Requires a single argument meta, but 3 were provided. File picker scene HPP. Okay, where are 3 being provided? Requires argument, 1 argument, but 3 were provided. It really seems to me like I'm passing in 1 argument here. Make unique. This is 1 argument. Am I... Oh, you know what? I know why. It's because tile edit behavior, which is something that we haven't really looked at. It's somewhere else. But it also uses file picker scene for something else. Let me see if I can find it in here. And yeah, see here, it's doing the same thing. Now, I just have it use file picker meta as well. Yeah. Okay. That should be good now. Try to build that again. Do I have an... Oh, collider edit behavior also uses it, I guess. Collider edit behavior. Yeah. Nope, Totoro, don't go back there, don't. She is trying to thermal throttle me. She's an enemy of the state. An agent of the state. She likes to go, I have my MacBook back there, and she likes the heat of the MacBook. And so she'll go, and since the lid's closed, she'll go and she'll lie down on it and just chill there. But the problem is, every time she does that, she really adds a lot of heat to the system, because cats are not very good heat sinks, and she heats up the whole thing, and then I start getting thermal throttled. Yeah, meow meow meow. Yeah, yeah, definitely. She is an Alfiq, an intelligent cat from the Elder Scrolls Desert of Elsewhere. Elsewhere, yeah, Elsewhere. You know, saying that is it supposed to literally mean like elsewhere? Like, not here, but elsewhere. And they just changed the spelling? Is this big brain mode for me right now, or is that something that everybody knows, or am I just like speculating? Yes, lol. Okay. All right. Well, listen. I think I only played Elder Scrolls is it 5? Skyrim. I played through all of Skyrim. I played so much of Skyrim. And then I tried recently when Oblivion released. I played it, and dude, it was great. I liked it a lot. But for some reason, for me, something that happens with games is like I'll be enjoying a game and then I won't play it for like 1 or 2 days because I'm busy or something, and then that's it. The game just loses all interest for me. I was this many years old when I'm a guild officer in Elder Scrolls Online RP guild. Oh shit, dude, that's awesome. Have you played any of Ashes of Creation? Have you heard of that? I started a guild with a buddy that I met in the game, and we ran it for like the entirety of Ashes of Creation existing. And that game, like, apparently there was like a bunch of how do I phrase this? There was a lot of weirdness that was going on with the funding of the game, and like the CEO, and like the intentions of like where the money was going and stuff like that, because the game was like in an early access, like alpha, I guess, not early access is the term. And then they went into early access on Steam, and then like after they got a bunch of money from people, they basically was just like started shutting down the game studio and shit. It was weird. I watched YouTube videos about Ashes of Creation being canceled. Some friends bought in and were angry that it was so mismanaged. Yeah, it was so fun. Like I had a lot of fun playing the game. Like I spent ridiculous amounts of hours playing that game. The idea was awesome. But I think that they couldn't keep up with. I think that they didn't do a good job with doing what they said they were trying to do. Like they were basically saying that they were trying to, like each alpha phase, they were trying to collect specific types of data, and then would actively do stuff that would contaminate that data during that alpha phase to the point where they wouldn't be able to use any of it. It was weird. Anyway, but the game was really fun. You know, a game is fun when there's like no content and you still would like get on every single day and just shoot the shit with your guild mates, and like run around just killing the same mobs over and over again, you know. But it must be feeding time. You have kitty glue. Honestly, you might be right. You might be right. She might be hungry. I'll have to take a look in a bit. I'm probably gonna hop off here in like 10 or so minutes anyway. I'll probably just feed her once I finish stream. Okay, looks like we fixed all of our build issues. Just make sure that this actually still runs. Okay, look, this is ridiculous. Why is this so big? Oh, I know why. Because if I don't specify a height, it'll try to take up the parent's height. That's why. It was very ominous. Select the map file. So what I'll do... Where was that? That was in editor style sheet. I'm like, my face right now from her rubbing all over me, dude. Like covered in cat hair. I'm like, as I'm talking, it feels like I'm eating it. It's really not. Not enjoyable. Would not recommend. Unit pixels. My Discord name is the same as my YouTube name, so hit me up if you want to chat outside of stream. But thanks for hanging out tonight. Super interesting. LOL Totoro. That's awesome, dude. Honestly, you should. I don't think I've seen you in our Discord yet, so hop in there. There's a few people here. Let me throw this in here for anybody else who might be interested. But yeah, like it'll be cool to have you in there and anybody else. That's where I kind of will post random little things that I'm working on and all that. It was really awesome having you on here, man. I always love chatting with all you guys and hearing about your days and whatnot. Okay, so let's say this is going to be 30 pixels. Yeah. That should be good for now. Just say it's going to be 30 pixels. The reason it tried to take up the full height is because I was like, hey, I want you to text align this vertically horizontal, right? But like, if you're trying to text align something horizontal, it's not going to text align within its own height, you know, because that's weird. Like, it's already vertically aligned in its own height. So then it tries to be smart and say, okay, well, you're trying to vertically align a piece of text. So obviously, like, either I can take a look at the bounding box height that you specified, if any, and vertically align it in that. In this case, I didn't have a height specified, so it's like, oh, well, then you must want this element to be the height of its parent, so you can vertically align it. So that's what happened there. I'm just trying to build it again here for no reason. Okay. Now let's try running that editor. Jesus, my nose is so itchy. There you go. Okay, that looks better, but I think this needs more spacing. Let's try, let's do 60. It's probably more than I need, but we'll try it. Yeah, that looks decent. It's good enough for now. Okay, so now we can select the map file, and then we can get our segmentation fault when we choose a map. Ah, you had it on Twitch. Yeah, dude, I multi-stream. I go where the people are. I go everywhere, man. I go everywhere. Okay, well, not everywhere. I go to 2 places. I go to YouTube and I go to Twitch. I don't think people would really watch a coding stream anywhere else, to be fair. Okay. I think this is a good place to call it, to be honest. The next thing I wanted to do is I wanted to chase down this segmentation fault and figure out what's going on when we switch over to the other scene after we've chosen the file. But that's going to be a whole goose chase. You know how segmentation faults go. And the stream is scheduled to end in about 7 minutes, so I'll probably just hang out for like 7 more minutes. See if anybody has any questions, if anybody wants to see the game or anything like that. I mean, I can put on the game. Why not? I'll just kind of play around for the remaining time. I've done a lot. I think this is like one of the streams that I've spent the most time actually writing code, or like the one before this I actually was able to get a lot done too. I want to add, I have a plan right now. Basically, right now the way that the RCS system works is like, as long as you have RCS thruster fuel, you can like use your RCS thrusters. But I want to add a little more depth to it and basically have it so that the RCS thrusters have like a pressure gauge. And so like if you hold your RCS thrusters for a really long time, the like pressure amount will drop, so your RCS thrusters will get weaker, so you have to wait a little bit of time for them to kind of like repressurize so that you can use them more. Just a little bit of like depth, but then the way like I want it to also like hook into, because there's the lateral dump, right? Like if I hit this, it dumps a bunch of RCS fuel, and then like it kind of functions like a little bit of a dodge mechanic, right? Basically what that would do is that would drop your RCS pressure really low, so you'd have probably enough to do a little bit of RCS maneuvering, but nothing crazy. And you would have to effectively, like if you're gonna do that lateral dump, you have to kind of wait for your RCS pressure to build back up. It won't be like a super long thing. It's gonna what I want to do is basically like it burns, like using the RCS thruster burns like or dissipates the pressure faster than it regenerates, but then once you stop using it, it'll regenerate pretty quickly, you know, like maybe you use it 20% faster than it regenerates or something. I don't know, something like that. But that, I don't want it to just be like you just hold down the RCS and you start going crazy and whatever. I want it to feel like, ooh, can I save this? Can I save this? Ooh, I can't believe I saved that. Oh, but I'm out of RCS. Okay, wait. This is definitely I'm gonna die here. Ooh, ooh, ooh. No! If only there was more friction. Yeah, that's it. That's death. But I can't fire my RCS. That's over. It's over. Yeah, is there anything anybody else wants to see, like, while I'm here? Just got some commands in here. I'm trying to think if I've shown everything. A lot of these commands are a placeholder right now. Like, they exist, but they don't really actually do anything. In terms of like the echo command, I'll show that in a second. It'll actually echo whatever you say to do, but there's really no reason to use it. Echo. I could say echo poop. Echo. You know. Corbin says, I'm curious how big the total world is or will be. So there's going to be a few different maps. And for each map, I want it to be roughly 2 miles wide and about a mile tall. Or maybe more than a mile tall. I want there to be basically from the surface to where you spawn in when you start falling. It's roughly a mile, right? But then there might be like more cave systems or whatever below. So yeah, like right now this map that I have here is in that scale. It's just not very high quality. So I'll show you what's over here on the left. This is just like a playground map that I've put together. Just so that I have something to fuck around in, you know. There's this here. Let me give myself infinite fuel. And I'll zoom out just so you guys can see a little bit better. I have this, like, if you right click, you can kind of like use your binoculars to look in a specific direction, you know. So we'll go more. Actually, let me also give myself invincibility. So we've got, and the camera tries to adjust if I get close to the ground. But right now, like, the map is the correct size in terms of dimensions, like X and Y, like width and height. But it's not correct in terms of like there's gonna be more verticality to it. Obviously, like actual buildings and stuff all over the place, and stuff to explore. Right now, it's just a bunch of empty lunar surfaces, you know, completely untextured as well. Here, let me run the scanner so you can also get a better view, because it's really hard to get a feel for the scale of the map without the scanner. That's also why I added the scanner in, because like I'm super high up right now, right? I can't see the ground below me. But like right now I'm traveling at 22 meters per second, right? Which is pretty quick, you know. The way that I am kind of building the game is I want you to have enough fuel in your tank that you can land anywhere on the map. When you start off, you'll spawn somewhere randomly above the map, right? At some random like X coordinate above the map, roughly 1,000 meters above the surface. And I want you to have the opportunity to land anywhere you want. But you will have enough fuel to land one time for sure. And then potentially maybe you'll have enough fuel to like do like another short hop to somewhere else if you wanted to do a little more exploration, or if there's like another point of interest that's close enough, you might be able to get back in and fly over to like one more other spot that's like not across the map. That's how much one fuel tank will have. Now that being said, you'll be able to like your fuel will not regenerate on every loop. Like right now I have it like that because I'm just testing, but like your fuel is a finite resource, and you'll have to go and like collect materials to craft more fuel to be able to refuel the lander. So you'll be able to store fuel in your cargo hold and like let's say you burn through all your fuel, you can land and then refuel the lander. You know what I mean? That was the end of the map, by the way. That was the right side. So it's like it takes roughly, I would say, like 2 minutes to traverse the map from one side to the other in the lander. On foot, it's not going to be possible to traverse the whole map from one side to the other because of all the verticality and stuff like that. A lot of the like terrain is going to be too steep, and yeah, I really want the player to use the lander to get around. But yeah, so you'll be able to like refuel if you want to, right? And you'll need to refuel because like let's say you start off with full fuel on your first loop, you land, boom, done. And then let's say you have like 40% fuel left. On your next loop, you're going to start off with 40% fuel. You know, you're not getting back any fuel. So you will need to refuel. The way I like, in order to make it not possible to get soft locked, I have to spawn you with some minimum amount of fuel no matter what. Like, let's say you completely ran out of fuel and then you blacked out and then the next loop is starting, right? And you get spawned up at the top of this, like, you know, up in the sky again. You need to have some sort of amount of fuel to land, right? I can't give you nothing if you had nothing. So I'll probably give the player like 20% fuel or something, just enough to like get down. Maybe it'll be a hard landing or whatever, but you'll be able to land. But then it's on you to actually get enough fuel to do anything. So basically all you'll have is enough fuel to probably land so that you can spend that loop collecting crafting materials to then create more fuel, you know, for your next loop. And managing your fuel and having extra fuel is just going to be part of the gameplay loop, you know. Same thing for RCS thruster fuel. It's gas, so it'll probably last you a little longer, but you'll also have to carry that around in your cargo hold and make sure you're maintaining that. So it's going to be super important to actually go around and collect the scrap that falls, and that's why I've made scrap a renewable resource. Like, you'll be able to, like, maybe if you visit a scrap pile, you'll be able to get enough, on average, enough stuff from like 1 or 2 scrap piles that you could craft realistically, like you know, maybe like enough fuel to fill up like 20% of your fuel thing or something like that, just to be able to keep you going, you know. But I'll have to see. It's gonna, you know, that remains to be seen, all that balancing and stuff like that. That's kind of the plan right now. Ooh. Super interesting. Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Let me know if anybody has any kind of suggestions. I'm open to it. This has just been like me kind of thinking through what I think would be fun. I like resource management in games. You know, I like it when when my actions feel like they have consequences, and when a game doesn't baby me. You know, it's just the nature of the game. I have to give you something. I can't give you no fuel and then you're just like in an infinite loop of like I'm crashing and I'm crashing and I'm crashing because I have nothing to land with, you know. But yeah, cool. Well, all right, I'm gonna call it here. I have to go feed Totoro. I'm sure she's hungry, but it's been awesome hanging out with everybody. Thank you to everybody who came and chilled with us. Anybody who's interested, check out the Discord. It's actually in the chat right now on screen as well. And whoever wants to follow along on the game, I would appreciate a sub or a Twitch follow or anything like that. It always helps. And oh, wishlist the game on Steam if this has been something that is interesting to you guys. I'll throw that in there again one more time. But yeah, cool. Thanks, guys. Good night, everybody. I'll see y'all next time.